Again, welcome. Thank you so much for being here for today's webinar. We're going to talk about how to leverage employer branding to attract and retain talent with me. I'm Claire Stroh, and I'm going to be your speaker for today as well as your host. So I have the chat open and the Q&A, which we'll get to more details on that. So again, I have the chat open for comments, any discussion throughout. I'm going to try to keep an eye on it. If I can mention things in real time as I'm going, I will. And then definitely make sure to use Zoom's Q&A function, including thumbs upping any questions you'd like to see answered. So I'm going to open the Q&A at the end. There's going to be time for questions at the end, and I will get through as many as I possibly can in the remaining kind of like 10 to 15 minutes. And now I want to give a quick word about our organizers and our sponsor for today. So this event has been organized by HR Chief and PeoplePeople. HR Chief is an HR-focused job board, resource center, and community dedicated to improving the human resources and people ops industry. We strive to make work engaging, equitable, and impactful. We empower people leaders to make a positive difference in their roles, and you can learn more at hrchief.com. And then PeoplePeople gives HR, people ops, and recruiting professionals a place to connect, ask questions, share best practices, and learn from one another. So this started in 2016 and hosted by HR Chief. PeoplePeople includes over 10,000 members from all over the world, and you can apply to join the community at peoplepeople.group. So I would absolutely love to see you in the PeoplePeople Slack channel. That's peoplepeople.group. So please go and join us if you haven't already. All right, and the event today is sponsored by our friends at Lighthouse Technology Services, so that's where I work. And Lighthouse is a technology and talent organization based in Buffalo, New York, but we do serve clients nationally. We specialize in professional recruiting and managed IT talent and marketing services. And I'm Claire, so a little bit more about me. I'm going to be your speaker for today's webinar. I'm the manager of managed talent services at Lighthouse Technology Services, and I help small and mid-sized businesses with talent attraction, talent acquisition, and talent retention. So I've been in various talent acquisition and HR leadership roles for the past 10 years, primarily across hospitality, manufacturing, and technology. And I have a podcast called Claire Shares. It's by Lighthouse Technology Services, where I share talent attraction and retention tips in around 10 minutes or less. I would love for you to check it out. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. And I also welcome you to connect with me on LinkedIn. So I dropped my link in the chat. I love to share helpful tips, resources, events, and insight for the HR community. And again, you'll also find me in the PeoplePeople Slack channel. So come join us, ask your questions, and I'm in there as well, sharing content and answering and providing resources and things like that. All right, so we're going to get going. I'm going to get right into it. Again, I have the chat open, so feel free to talk with each other throughout. If anything resonates with you, makes you think of an example, let us know. And then make sure as well to use that Q&A feature so I can get through those at the end. So before we start with kind of leveraging branding for talent attraction and retention, we want to start with employer branding itself and what it is, and then we'll talk about how we're going to use it. So what is employer branding? I love Workable's definition. Employer branding is the representation of a company as an employer. So this branding encompasses the company's values, work culture, and reputation in the job market. Your employer brand is essentially your company image and perception that influences candidates' decisions. So aspects of your employer brand include your mission, vision, values, and purpose statement. That I have here on the slide. So when I start working with new small and mid-sized business clients on their talent attraction, acquisition, and retention initiatives, the first thing we do is a meeting with the leadership team on realigning on mission, vision, values, and purpose statement, because these items are then the foundation of everything we do. So I've worked at previous companies that had 9 core values. I could never remember what they were. And I remember starting as a new hire and not getting much information on what those looked like in action, what the company's definition of that was, because innovation or customer service could mean different things to different organizations. So this is something we always start with before we talk more about how we want to incorporate these things into our job postings and other things we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. So getting realigned on these items is key so that we can use our mission, vision, and values to inform the language we use, what we include in our job postings, what we prioritize in our onboarding process, and so on. So showcasing your mission, vision, values, and purpose throughout all talent acquisition and retention initiatives helps to create that stickiness between candidates and employees with your organization. so they can see and feel why they are a good match for the organization. And that increased connectedness to the employer brand positively impacts retention as well. And I'm excited to give you some good examples. All right. So I hear from my HR community network that they're getting a lot of applicants for their open roles, but they're not the right applicants. So we're in an interesting job market right now, unfortunately, with a lot of big company layoffs and things like that. My HR community is saying that their applicants are up, but they're still not exactly the right folks that they feel are a good fit for their company. So usually, again, I love to dive in with them. I'm looking at their job postings, their process. We're trying to brainstorm some new ideas, things like that. And usually I see the job posts read like a job description. So a bulleted list of tasks, and there isn't anything specific in there that would catch the right person's attention. So the job duties are what they are. That's how I think about it. But what can you showcase about your company history, the difference your products or services are making, community impact, opportunities for employees to develop and grow, showcasing your values in action, spotlighting current employees, and things like that. So you want to communicate those types of things across your website, careers page, job posting, social media, and other content. So if you put the work into that job post and application process, that helps people get really excited to identify themselves as a good fit for you. So once we're communicating our brand, our mission, vision, values, et cetera, across these different items, try to partner with your marketing department if you can to get support. I'm assuming most of us today are in HR and recruiting. Our jobs definitely have a marketing flair to them, but I will say everything we do at Lighthouse, we do in partnership with our marketing manager. So definitely see if you can partner with your marketing person if you have one for support. Employer branding and recruitment initiatives are just as important as marketing your products and services. So there certainly are some companies I've worked at where we did have a marketing person, but they were solely dedicated to products and services, white papers, attracting new customers, all those things. But I was able to meet with them and get some of their time dedicated to that employer branding and recruitment marketing piece as well, since marketing to our candidates and applicants can be just as important as our customers. So your people obviously are the reason you can provide those products and services. So see if you can get some of that support to make some of this happen. All right, and I did want to take a moment to focus in on brand ambassadors because they can be such an important pillar in your overall employer branding strategy. We have a brand ambassador program here at Lighthouse and love the results we've seen. And I'm going to show you some data in the next couple slides as well. So having a brand ambassador program not only improves our awareness out in the community because we're leveraging our employees and their networks, but it also is improving employee retention. Our employees love to be involved in this program because it elevates them and their personal brands. They feel more connected to the work and those we serve. And we haven't had someone voluntarily leave Lighthouse in over 3 years. So what is a brand ambassador? Let me back up a little bit. So a brand ambassador drives affinity for themselves and a brand they share a connection with. So in this case, your company, by sharing their experience, insight, and leveraging their influence. And brand ambassadors support employer branding and recruiting by helping the organization get more applicants, showcasing testimonials or Google reviews about working at the company. And they can also support employee engagement and retention because capturing the energy of engaged employees and including them in an initiative that showcases them makes them feel special. So spotlighting employees on your website, social media channels, and having those employees share their spotlights with their networks creates those feelings of pride. And again, that like stickiness with your company and the brand because they feel cared about as an individual. They're being showcased, they're being recognized. So when they're feeling appreciated for their work, knowledge, and contributions, they're definitely more likely to stay and then tell others about your company as an employer of choice as well. And then talent acquisition ambassadors are brand ambassadors, but with a focus on recruiting. So for example, they may help specifically with getting the word out about open positions or company benefits. So I could do a whole presentation just on a brand ambassador program, which we do have at Lighthouse, so I'll stop here. But my main point is that employer branding shouldn't just be done by leadership, by HR, or by the marketing department. You want to include your employees in the employer branding efforts because they're truly the ones that are experiencing your mission, vision, values, and culture every day. And I talk a little bit more as well about getting some feedback on that to help inform your branding as we go through the next few slides. All right, so here's the data I mentioned on the last couple slides. So over the past 90 days, you can see the combined success of our entire recruiting team's Lighthouse LinkedIn posts from their individual profiles compared to the Lighthouse company page LinkedIn posts. So this is huge. A lot of companies, again, I used to work for, things were just coming from the company LinkedIn, the company X account, the company website, and utilizing our team's unique LinkedIn networks and connections, our content got more impressions and more engagements than what was posted just from the Lighthouse company LinkedIn page. So in my experience, people like and trust content more if it's being posted by someone in their network versus from a company page. And in most cases, the content that we're sharing is identical. So certainly our employees are sharing things that are unique to them, events that they're out in the community doing, their unique insight and opinions on the work they do. But there are also pieces of content that we share from the Lighthouse company page, and then our employees share that same article or company information as well. And the posts from the employee pages perform better than the company page, which again makes sense. If I see something from a brand with a little lighthouse icon, I'm like, okay, this looks interesting. But if someone I know shared that, if I know them and have a relationship with them and trust them and they're excited about it, I'm much more likely to comment or engage or read through that. I love having like a face and a name to information when I'm digesting it. So this has been huge for us. So I just wanted to show you some actual numbers that are combined. Again, recruiting teams LinkedIn is getting a lot of that employer branding awareness and engagements than just coming from our Lighthouse brand. So now let's dive into leveraging your employer brand to attract and retain talent. So this is the media slide. So please stay with me, put something in the chat to keep each other going. But I'm super excited to share all the different ways we leverage our brand. Now that we have our mission, vision, values, and purpose clearly defined, we're going to put it to good use and attract and retain top talent. So here are some of the avenues that have worked well for us at Lighthouse Technology Services. So the first is Google reviews. When we place a candidate, our recruiting team has an email template that they share with both the candidate and at times the hiring manager as well, asking for a review. So on the managed service side of our business, once a ticket is resolved or closed, our ticketing system sends the user a template asking for a review. And feel free to reach out to me if you would like that template. We are happy to share in the follow-up communications as well. The next is LinkedIn posts. So rather than this just being marketing's job, we get our employees involved. When a post does come out from the company LinkedIn page, the link is shared so the rest of the team can like, comment, or share if they would like to. So we just have a dedicated Teams channel for it. So when a new post comes out from the Lighthouse company LinkedIn page, our marketing team will just share the link to that. We'll either go and share it or just engage with it if it's not something that we personally want to share, but we still want to get the word out to our networks, get that snowball effect going. Because you're all aware, probably on LinkedIn, you've seen a post in your feed and you are not connected with the person that posted that, but it says so-and-so liked this post, and that person who liked it, you're connected with them. So you can see other things that your connections are engaging with, even if you're not connected with the person that posted it. So just having our team like, comment, share, whatever feels good to them, gets that information coming up in all of our unique networks news feeds. There's also a recommended post feature on LinkedIn. I'm going to share an example screenshot of this right after. Your page admin on your LinkedIn company page can write content and attach a photo or video with it and load it up to a queue of recommended content. How cool is that? I personally love it as an employee because I'm not starting from scratch, right? Every time I want to create something. So if your employees are just getting started with their use of LinkedIn or just getting started with being more active in general, are much more likely to share if they don't have to create something from scratch. So I'll show you some steps. Like I mentioned, I have a screenshot for you. But each week during team meetings as well, our marketing manager reminds us to go in and check the recommended content list and share a post that resonates with us that week. And we have dedicated time sometimes during meetings as well for folks to go into that recommended content section on LinkedIn and make their post right there while we're all together in real time. So again, our team's more likely to do it when there's dedicated time to go over it together, because there may be some hesitation or fear there for whatever reason. They might have a question, they might be nervous nervous about how it looks. Again, especially if they're just getting used to it. So having our marketing manager kind of going around, helping people make their edits and hit submit has gotten everyone much more comfortable with it. So again, we just prioritize the time for it, and that helps our employees obviously get more involved because we're creating that space for them. Next, we have employee spotlights. So we're a small company, so we post about birthdays and service anniversaries for each of our team members. My birthday post on March 11th on LinkedIn blew up in the best way. It was so nice to see the likes and comments, reconnect with folks from my network that I hadn't talked to in years. So you can use that content as a great conversation starter for potential applicants, candidates, and clients as well. So again, anything, even a birthday post, can create that potential business opportunity or get that relationship going with somebody. If you're a bigger organization, you may post about birthdays on a monthly basis. I've seen some companies do this, and they include those for that month by tagging them. Of course, there's some setup to this on the back end. You'll probably want a policy or process, for your organization. Of course, some folks might not have a profile or they don't wish to be tagged. So there are certainly some things you want to go through like that on the back end when you're getting it set up. But I've worked for bigger companies as well. We're just on a monthly basis. The company LinkedIn page does a birthday post for that month, tags all those folks that would like to be included. And we found that employees love to share something when they've been featured in it, and it's that positive and uplifting content because it's easy for their networks to say happy birthday or hope you've been well, or it's an easy like. They're just proud to share and feel good, when their network celebrates them and engages with their post. We also spotlight our team, not just on LinkedIn, but on our website as well. So if you head to the resources tab on our Lighthouse website, you'll see that many of our blog posts are written by different team members. Our marketing manager, again, does help employees showcase their thought leadership. Again, he's been a huge help because we can't just say to our team, go ahead and write something for us. What's the likelihood, that's going to get done if there's not a lot of structure or support around that? So our marketing manager does help us showcase our thought leadership because not only are different perspectives, of course, good, it gives our employees a piece of content they're proud to share with their unique networks. And during this exercise of helping our team members write blog posts, we've been open to new perspectives as a company, and it helps remind us that we have subject matter experts in our organization that we can learn from, who have knowledge and expertise to share. So never forget about that. You obviously know in HR that you might have engineers or technology professionals or whatnot that have so much knowledge and expertise. They're building your products, they're delivering your services for your customers. So see if they're open to leveraging that information as something that that can be showcased. So if you can help them put that together, I've noticed that most employees are happy to get involved, again, if they have the support and it doesn't feel like extra work or things like that. You're not just saying, well, because this, now you're tasked with writing this blog post. But yeah, if you do it in a way that's going to help celebrate them, help attract more of those candidates or customers or whatnot, we found people do really like to get involved. We also like to spotlight employees internally through our various teams, channels, and team meetings. So just spotlighting and celebrating your team in alignment with your core values helps, again, with their feelings of that connectedness and stickiness to your organization, and just improves, that brand connectedness. The next one, moving on, bullet 4 here, community involvement and partnerships is another way to showcase your brand to attract and retain talent. So as an organization, by supporting nonprofits or other causes that are important to you, employees can get involved in their community. So of course, this is good for the greater community at large, but our employees also love the support and time they get from us as a company to go get involved with the organizations that are important to them. And again, we've also met clients and candidates out at these community involvement events. So again, those kind of business relationship building opportunities can happen anywhere. So that is something important to keep in mind and be chatting about. I've had plenty of leadership teams in the past as well that said that that's not a good use of our time, or it's not a trade show, or it's not directly related to our business. And again, for branding purposes, just showing what is important to your company, and showcasing kind of the other aspects outside of just the products or services, because every company, right, has bulleted task lists for job descriptions, has products and services. But by showcasing what makes you unique, what organizations you support, There might be, just like schools in the area that you support, or other nonprofits. That is helping people identify, like, that's something that resonates with me as well. So again, we've met plenty of clients and candidates out at these types of things too. And we just have so much fun as a team and love giving back to our communities. So another couple of important points I want to mention, I've seen a big return to office push. I'm sure you are all seeing that as well. You're probably bringing employees back to the office, potentially also. If you're going to bring people back to work at the office and attract new employees to want to work at the office as well, please showcase your office. If you expect them to work on site, they want to see the workspace. So show individual spaces for work as well as collaborative spaces. If you have break spaces, such as kitchens, picnic tables, outside walking paths, things like that. Try to not just show a photo either, but try to tell a little bit of a story or an example about how teams are working and accomplishing together in this space. High quality headshots are also great. I'm going to share a couple examples of this in a couple slides as well. But throughout all the above that we talked about, keeping your mission, vision, values, culture at the forefront of what you're sharing so that the right applicants can identify with your company brand, feel strongly about it, and just be excited to apply. All right, so, okay, perfect. Yeah, so as I mentioned, our marketing manager uses the recommended post feature on LinkedIn. So if you haven't seen this yet from an HR perspective, but you know your company has a LinkedIn page, see who your administrator is or reach out to your marketing department. Your LinkedIn company page admin can write recommended posts for employees to share. When I view the Lighthouse Company LinkedIn page as an employee and go to my company tab, I see the recommended posts. And then at the bottom of the screenshot here, as you see, I can click start a post, and that takes the information over to something that I can hit submit on, and it will post from my personal profile. So I'm able to edit it if I would like to before posting. So it's so helpful to have kind of written copy, photo, videos, everything loaded in for me to share. If I want to put my own, personality and voice or spin on what the topic is, I can add that in. But it only takes a few clicks for me to get this great information out to my network. If I don't want to make any changes, that's fine too. It's all right here. I click start a post, and I hit post, and it goes out to my news feed with all my connections. And then, as I mentioned, potential applicants want to see your office space if they're going to be working on site. So our marketing manager got some great photos of the office for us to use on our website and in our social media. And also our recruiters use these office images as their virtual backgrounds when they take video screens with candidates. So candidates often mention them. I'm on calls with people all the time that ask, like, is that your office? Like, where is that? Like, which room are you in? And it really starts a great conversation about our work environment. And then our marketing manager also coordinated headshot sessions for our team, which our employees then use to update their LinkedIn headshots if it's been a while, or just use for a post on LinkedIn, just sharing that they're working for the company or got a new headshot done or wanted to share more about the office space, things like that. So we also include our headshots in our email signatures, which puts together a name and face for the candidates and clients that we're emailing with. So the photo of me here on the slide is the one I use in my company email signature. So if you're emailing with me, you'll see like my name, title, and my face and every email interaction, which is really helpful because then we're more likely to recognize each other at events on LinkedIn, things like that. Just puts that smile and face to a name for those folks I'm interacting with. Okay, so I want to share with you a couple fun examples outside of Lighthouse. So Chili Piper recruited 7,500 applicants through TikTok in 2022 by creating templates to make it easy for employees to participate. So going back to what I said about creating some kind of starting point so employees aren't creating from scratch. I love the screenshot here because it shows a sales development rep sharing that she can be herself, energetic, silly, goofy. And again, employees are more likely to share if you can provide some company template, of course, some brand guidelines. Again, we're not getting into the nitty gritty of social media policies and branding guidelines and things like that, but those are good to have as you're getting some of these initiatives set up first. So they know kind of what those guardrails are, but then it allows them some flexibility to personalize it to them. And then another one I love is Fiverr. They did a big marketing campaign with the hashtag #MyNewTitle. And the idea behind the campaign, created by Fiverr's employer branding and creative teams, was to pivot on the theme that Fiverr is an employee-first company, and they're looking for great people who are also great at their jobs. So the aim of the campaign was to raise awareness for Fiverr among potential employees, and supporting the recruiting team and attracting new talent. So what they found, usually job advertisements have a formal tone of voice. It doesn't reflect the candidate's personality or the company's DNA. So through this campaign, Fiverr wanted to build a narrative closer to what jobs and the people in them are really like, unfiltered, straight to the point, and taking that kind of joking angle on what things are really kind of happening like in day-to-day working life. So the CEO's profile said unnecessary meeting decliner. A data analyst profile said head of saying what everyone else is thinking. So the results were astonishing. Again, this is a really extreme example, a huge action needed kind of on that collective basis. But as a result of this collective activation, Fiverr was widely mentioned across LinkedIn. 357 employees changed their job titles, which resulted in an estimated about 2.5 million views on the platform. And visits to Fiverr's career page increased by 91%, and they saw 43% increase in job applications received at the company than the year prior. And this was about a year ago. All right. And then a fun retention example. So I'm sure we've all heard the quote, what happens if we invest in developing our people and they leave us? What happens if we don't and they stay? So if you engage and spotlight and upskill people and they leave, of course that stinks, but what's the alternative? They stay, they're not engaged, they're not doing their best work, and they're not feeling connected to the company and the mission, vision, values, which will impact the quality of their work. And something I found too from being in prior HR positions is sometimes our employees actually do really resonate with our mission, vision, values, and some of the places the company like donates money to and things like that. They're just not even aware of it. So that's just like a huge missed opportunity when we kind of get them involved and try to, again, showcase kind of their knowledge or skills or get them involved with that cause, or just kind of showcasing what, we're doing, and then how they can get involved, what's important to them, get their feedback, vice versa. There's a direct correlation there with engagement, attention to detail on the job. Again, I primarily worked in hospitality and manufacturing, so very hands-on type positions where you need that engagement and that accuracy for like the work to get done to a certain quality. So we've taken the time to train our team and how to use, LinkedIn, share about the company and share about their work, because these skills help them showcase themselves in the company. The pros definitely outweigh the cons. So, again, I've worked for managers too that are like, nope, we don't want to help our people do that because then they're going to be poached away easier or something like that. But again, on the flip side, or they'll stay because they'll be so much more excited about learning how to showcase themselves and the company and getting involved with some of these extra initiatives. So I also talk to HR departments of one each week. Let me know that in the chat too. Have you been an HR department of one, or are you an HR department of one? I was one. I reported to a general manager. I had 350 hourly employees and I was only HR person. So I have been in your shoes. Yup. I see it coming through in the chat. So I love talking to my HR department of one network each week, again, helping with some of those attraction and retention items where I can. And most of them share with me that their least favorite part of their role is recruiting. So they're very focused on talent retention so that they don't have to recruit as much. So they actually love employee engagement and performance management and training managers. And recruiting feels like a very administrative and repetitive task to them, which I totally get. I remember too, I would love focusing on my employees and not, filtering applicants and things like that. So just remember that as HR, or as a management team or as a marketing team, you don't want to decide on some of these employer branding initiatives, such as requesting Google reviews or updating your website with certain brand information or things like that without involving your employees, because employer branding can have the opposite effect on talent attraction and retention when it's disconnected, because your employees or potential candidates can see, right, the company's talking about something in a certain way, which again, managers and HR might feel that that's authentic to them, but they don't see it that way. So it's hard for them to send that information to somebody they know or recommend the company if they know that that's not really what's going on. So listening to your employees, maybe it's having focus groups if you need more information, but just finding out what aspects of the culture they really like and appreciate can help inform you on what to showcase. So listen to your employees, showcase them, highlight the current culture, get your teams and managers involved with sharing their stories and sharing content to their networks and communities. So just the screenshot here is just involving our employees and sharing what they and the company are doing has just improved our social engagement over time. All right, so thank you all so much for being here. That's what I had planned for you today, content-wise. I'm going to launch a quick poll for you. Let's see, hold on one moment. Okay, cool. So you should be able to see the poll. I've just launched it, so you can indicate to us what type of follow-up you would like after this webinar. So let us know what we can help you with. We hope to see you in PeoplePeople Slack. I would love to help you from an HR community standpoint. Yes, whatever you need, let us know, so the PeoplePeople team and myself can follow up with you. You can find me on LinkedIn. Again, my website is clairescoaching.com. On my website, you can find the Claire Shares podcast that I mentioned if you want those short and sweet, 10 minutes or less attraction and retention tips. I also just share my favorite resources and advice for HR professionals on my blog. So feel free to head over there as well. And yes, if there's anything else I can find for you or help you with, let us know. All right. Amazing. Yes, we will send the recording out. Okay, perfect. Make sure to get your poll in if you haven't already. Okay. Looks good. Thank you. All right. We will make sure to get that out for you. So we are going to dive into the Q&A. I'm so excited. I'm going to get that window opened. I'm going to start working through the questions and get to as many as I can. I think I saw a couple come through the chat as well. If you wouldn't mind putting them in the Q&A for me, because I think I might have missed a couple. All right. So the first question was, do the recommended posts have to be turned on for LinkedIn? That is a good question. So I'm not doing the admin functionality on our company LinkedIn page day to day. In my experience, though, it does not have to be turned on. So the feature should just be there for you, for your page admin. So yeah, if that's not you at the company, or if it is, I would just look around. There should be a spot to recommend content for employees. But if you're an admin, you should see an option to create or write that recommended content. It should be there. You don't have to turn it on or request from LinkedIn to get access or anything like that. I hope that helped. Let me know if there's something more specific you were wondering on that. It should be there. All right, amazing. The next one we have, how do you get executive buy-in for ambassador programs and shifting resources to employer branding from other teams like marketing? Yeah, that's a really good question, Brent. And that's literally why I have a whole separate hour I do just on brand ambassador programs. Something I've done recently with well, it starts with obviously having like a motivation for needing to change. So a little business I talked to recently with an HR department of one, they're in just a very niche industry and it's just her responsibility as HR to recruit. And it's a struggle because she's not doing that work day to day. She's not in those industry associations and things like that. So when she had some data about like just how long roles were sitting open and then just what the process currently was with their postings, what types of events she was going to, things like that. She basically was like, I would love to try something new, instead of using some of the recruiting budget on some of these things we've done before, like fairs and whatnot, that we're not getting a lot of results for. Can we provide this brand ambassador training to our employees? Obviously, I share a little bit more with the leadership team first to make sure they obviously have to believe in it and want to do it and be willing to share that recommended content and stuff as well. But I found that most businesses are open to trying it. At least to start, it is just that training, at least for your employees. They're likely on LinkedIn already. So sometimes they're just not even aware that the company page is posting things that they could be sharing out to their network. So anyways, for most folks I've talked to, it's just kind of like laying out the data, where the funds are being spent, and like knowing that they would like to try something else because they need to see some different and better results. So I hope that helps. But yeah, we have a whole presentation, yeah, that we do on, there's so much like trust, that goes into that as well. Again, just because folks trust kind of like those personal pages versus just company pages, or they want to see the content from the manager that they'll potentially be working with, not just from HR. So yeah, there's a lot of different angles that we have to kind of bring up for them to see that it could be potentially a helpful route to go down. So yeah, let me know if there's anything else on that. Great question, Brent. Thank you. All right, next one we have for employee spotlights. Can you recommend a low-cost, uncomplicated production options for employee testimonial clips to share on LinkedIn and other social media sites? That would be such a great question to put in our PeoplePeople Slack channel. Ben, you might even know as well. So I think what you're saying, production options for testimonial clips, maybe that's video clips and whatnot. But yeah, our marketing department just has a camera. Again, I do not know much about it, but if you send me any specific questions you have, I could get those answered and pass them along. But yeah, just films our employees at 30-second to 1-minute increments on like different topics sometimes, and does have, a little piece of editing software that he uses, and then loads those as like a piece of recommended content for people to just share. So the video is already loaded in there. So I'm not sure what he's using exactly for editing the clips, if that's what you're asking. But so that's kind of out to LinkedIn, but just internally, some easy things, like if you already have a communications platform like Microsoft Teams, for example, there is like a praise feature built in. So some of just your communication tools might have a feature that's already there that you can use to send spotlights or make a channel kind of designated to that. But I know there are tons of little like low cost like software options as well if you want employees to give peer-to-peer kudos and things like that too. Okay, awesome. Yes. So let us know if there's anything else we can find for you on that. All right, let's see. Okay, good. We got a couple more that just came in as well. Any insight on how you would approach an employer brand strategy for international companies when each region has slightly different cultures? New markets have a startup environment versus the head office. That's a really good question. I have never worked in that type of environment personally. I will say for like some of the global companies I've worked for, my HR role was kind of different than what I'm doing now in my branding work. Marketing did do a really good job though of keeping like a global content calendar. So certainly there were certain either holidays or again community groups or causes they supported that were different for our different regions and things that we had. And I would see content just as an employee on the company page about what was going on in other locations, which was really helpful just to keep everybody kind of informed and kind of, I guess, rowing towards the same thing, knowing that other employees in other locations are going to events and working on new initiatives and products and things like that. So yeah, approaching the brand strategy, that's a good question. I haven't done it from scratch. But yeah, I would say maybe just kind of like map out what those differences are. Certainly there are going to be differences in the cultures and the locations, but maybe just start with mapping out like what exactly those are. Because sometimes I think people hesitate or like worry about those things, but really when you look at, again, the mission, vision, values, products, types of people, subject matter experts, you have things like that. There actually is a lot you can still use across all your locations, and then just kind of sprinkle in some of those things that are unique to that location. So yeah, from like a company page perspective and like recommended posts, that is for like the company page as a whole. But yeah, there could still be a way where you could create some templates or recommended content for employees just at a certain location or that are just involved with this type of event or something like that. So I did my best on that one, but good question, Rachel. And again, I'm going to keep saying, bring these questions to us in the PeoplePeople Slack so that someone else who has done this can weigh in on that for you. Great question. All right. And then we have Is there a pushback on the efficacy of employer branding? Example, applicants are up, but not the right ones in this market. How will employer branding not just attract more of the wrong talent? What do you say? What data might help there? Interesting. That's a really good question. I've seen, depending on, I guess, how your applicant flow is working right now, if you're noticing you're really up a lot of applicants during this market, or they're really different or just off from what you're usually seeing, you can also switch up like the form on your application. So I've heard of a couple of companies that have put in just a couple like extra questions, 1 to 3 sentences, so nothing candidates should be, too up in arms about. You're not making the application process more lengthy or having them do any work in order to apply or anything. But I've seen companies add just a couple of questions about like, how do your like personal values or interests align with ours, like based on what you read, like about our office space or whatnot, like what interests you about it, especially if it is a role that's coming into office. And I found, again, from what I've heard from my community, folks are, if they're excited with your brand, they feel that connectedness, they like what they've seen on the careers page, the job description, et cetera. They do not mind answering those types of questions that only take a couple more minutes. So the folks that are like truly interested, do truly think they're a fit, and are seeing all these different aspects you're sharing, feel free to ask about those things that you're sharing and why they feel excited about that. So that's one thing we've done to hopefully attract more of the right talent. People in my network have tried. So you can easily like filter by some of those questions as well. So if there are people that maybe don't take the time to even answer those, maybe you go through the folks who have first before you get to those other applicants. But making things more specific on your job postings and on your website and stuff, yeah, shouldn't attract more of the wrong folks. I mean, it could just numbers wise due to like the market that we're in. But again, if you can kind of create something for them to answer or engage with specifically, that kind of identifies them as that right person, that is helpful. But yeah, definitely receive pushback. Again, managers just say, well, I don't want to train people to be more active because they'll get poached. So again, it is hard to like see that. But usually, again, in some leadership, you're not going to change, and that is what it is. So like me personally, I've either moved on from organizations, if things haven't aligned, or I was able to make a small improvement that I felt was really helping engagement and retention in new applicants. So, I mean, obviously see what you can do. But yeah, if you can share some cool examples, like some of the ones I have in the slides, or again, if there's like a reason or a motivation behind that, like leadership knows that recruiting is a challenge right now in this market, they're usually open to some new ideas, is what I found. You might have to go back and forth a lot from there on what exactly you're going to try or do. But yeah, see if there's kind of any wiggle room you can make there and try some new things. All right, let's see. I'm going to check a couple other places and see what we have. Yeah, training employees on social media, getting them comfortable with posting. Yeah, so that's just something we've had to start from kind of like the top down. So again, like our CEO has to be on board with it. He's very active. But yeah, usually we start with just kind of that like management team level. And again, not everyone's super active or super comfortable with it, and that's okay. We have employees that don't even have LinkedIn. So that's okay. Do we try to meet people where they're at? Some folks love to share those industry related articles, or they're our folks that go to trade shows, or they're an R&D or whatever. So there's certain things, maybe something from their alma mater they're very proud to share or whatever. So yeah, we help work with them on just like what feels good to you to post. You don't always have to share everything from the company page. Maybe they don't, again, want to be featured for their birthday, but they're willing to share something else. So yeah, we usually have to start at the top, kind of share as a leadership team, kind of how we would like to go about this, train some of the managers as well. Maybe their presence needs a little bit more updating. I've had to teach a lot of managers in the past how to post jobs, because some of them are like, right, it's just recruiting's job. And I'm like, actually, like your unique network and referrals are really going to help us with this. And then they usually do. So they see it's beneficial. So, and they like to post because they notice people in their network are liking and engaging with that. And they're like, oh, I haven't seen or heard from this person in a while. They saw my post. And I'm like, yeah, because when you're active, they see you. If you're not ever doing anything, They don't, they forget you exist. So yeah, it's fun to just kind of like work with them, but we do have to start at that higher level, see who's bought in, give some best practices again on the branding, voice and guidelines, and things like that. So sometimes marketing does provide, again, those office images to use and things like that. But then, yeah, we make time kind of within our teams from there, to do some training. So we have some dedicated meeting time, whatever works for you. It could be monthly, quarterly, to just, again, show those recommended posts, try to get people involved, show them how to click, make edits. So if we do it with them in real time, they're pretty receptive to that. And that looks like all the ones that I have. So thank you for joining us. Again, if you need to hop off, go ahead. I can stay on to see and chat and things like that for a few more minutes. But Ben at the HR Chief and People team will make sure you get the follow-up that you asked for. And thank you all so much for joining us today. This has been fun. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Great questions. Thank you. We'll see you soon.